Bowman here from BWOne.com, and we're just under a week away before we finally find out what's in the new iPhone that's going to be coming out. So September 12th, we're officially going to get what the new iPhone or iPhone 5 or whatever they're going to call it is going to be all about. And I kind of want to kind of nail down some solid predictions here as to what realistically will be in the next version of the iPhone. I'm going to share my thoughts here, and you guys are going to share your thoughts and discussions below in the comments, and let us know what you think. Let's start off with sort of the hardware and the body of it. I don't expect the design to be drastically too different from the 4 and 4S. I expect them to sort of borrow things with that, with a little bit of differences between it, but it's going to have a bigger display in it. Some people are saying 4 inches. I think they're going to find a way to make it just a little bit bigger than 4 inches. They don't have to catch up all the way to competition, but I think they're going to come a little bit close to it. I could see them figuring out a way to get a 4.3 or 4.5 inch display inside of it, but not have to make the phone that much bigger. It's going to be probably just a little bit taller than the iPhone 4S. It'll be noticeably taller, but not by too much, but I think it'll be a bit thinner than the previous iPhone 4 and 4S. But I think they're going to have the display pretty much edge to edge on the phone, and it's going to be a little bit bigger than that. They're going to figure out a way to kind of accomplish that. It's going to have a Retina display, of course, and somewhere close to HD resolution as well too. So either 720p or 1080p HD resolution, however they're going to figure it out, it's probably going to be inside the phone there. And as far as the insides are concerned, I think the processor is going to be either the A5X, which is currently in the iPad 3, so dual-core processor, quad-core graphics, or they're going to have A56, which will be the next version of that, which will be a little bit better. But I imagine it's probably going to be a dual-core processing phone, and they'll just get the quad-core graphics in there for the gaming. I expect to see that inside of it. Also inside of it, we're obviously going to see 4G LTE. It's a must. It must happen. So they're going to have 4G LTE and probably HSPA Plus as well, 42 megabits maybe. I'm not sure if the phone's going to show up on T-Mobile here in America, but there's probably they're probably going to want to have that included in there with it. But 4G LTE is definite here in America since Verizon and AT&T have networks up and running. Sprint's rolling out their network now. LTE is just going to have to be inside this phone. So I definitely expect them to bring that to the table inside of it to really get those nice fast speeds, of course, there. Also, what I don't see changing too much in it is the camera itself. I definitely expect to see an 8-megapixel camera inside of it. Just improved optics, better lens, maybe better aperture, or whatever they could figure out with it to make it a little bit better than the previous version with it, or make it on par with other cameras out there. A lot of these manufacturers, I believe, use Sony for a lot of their high-end, for a lot of their high-end phones, use Sony sort of camera technology, or get the camera built by Sony. So I can see that really happening with the iPhone 4. So the iPhone 5, I mean, so I could see that happening there with that. So we're going to see improved camera, but 8 megapixels is probably where it's going to stay with 1080p HD video recording with it. So hardware-wise, probably not too much of a leap. It's going to be more of a catch up to the competition in terms of that. A lot of competition on the Android side of things is pretty much, have always been leaps and bounds ahead in terms of the hardware thing. So I definitely expect Apple to sort of catch up in that regard. I expect them to sort of really focus on, it's going to be the software and experience. Very similar to what Samsung did with the Galaxy S3. Specs were pretty much on par with everybody else that's kind of out there in terms of hardware, but they really focus on talking about the software, TouchWiz, and UX, and those things like that. I can really see them making this event very heavily about iOS 6, the new features, the finalized features in iOS 6 with it. Also sort of probably some more improvements to the iCloud platform as well too. So a lot of things in iOS 6 that are new. Obviously the new map program with it as well, because they're obviously kicking out Google Maps and YouTube and putting probably their own sort of video player inside of it, and their own mapping program, which we've seen with it. The betas have been saying it's not that great, but we'll see how well it works out there. But they're going to be pushing that, and obviously the navigation with turn-by-turn directions built in inside of it. Pretty much all the kind of major platforms right now, Windows Phone and Android, had their own sort of map program inside of it. You can see that's going to be the case also with Apple's sort of their own map program. But I also think it's a good thing that they're getting rid of Google Maps out of it, only because it's going to allow Google to make a much better Google Maps program for iOS that they're going to be able to update as an application itself. They can just send the updates out. It's not sort of built into the core of the OS, and it's a little bit more difficult to upgrade that way. Having it as its own separate app and letting people choose to just, if they want to use that, they can use it. They probably may be able to include some type of navigation with it as well too, and update it and make it just as good as the Android version of it. I think that's a really good thing that they're kind of separating ways with that. I also expect to see a lot of things pushed about this passport thing. So NFC support is another thing that I expect to see inside the phone. So we'll see probably sort of how this, I think it's called passport. Maybe we'll see some type of mobile payment system from there. I don't know if they'll create their own or they'll support ISIS, maybe an iOS version of ISIS. I'm not sure how that's going to go down, but I see something about that they're going to talk about and focus on sort of the software experience with that as well. But really what I see is a focus on software and features and things like that is what really the next iPhone is going to be all about. So I want to know what your predictions here. Oh, well, one more thing I want to mention is sort of the battery. I think the battery, it either going to stay the same size, might be maybe a little bit bigger in capacity, maybe a little bit less, but they're probably going to talk about more how iOS 6 is more optimized to make the battery life a lot better in that regard. So I kind of see more in the battery life in terms of sort of the software enhancements more so than the hardware enhancements with that. But I want to know what you guys think, so leave your comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it along on all the different social networks. Join us on all of our social networks. The link is in the description. Subscribe to our YouTube page. And always remember to live your tech world in high definition.